AP now on FM at 93.3. So Teslas continue to burn. Tesla dealerships continue to be attacked. Right-wing influencers, commenters. One guy wrote a documentary of some sort. Now we're doing a random weather report, I guess. Sorry. And so, there's one side that when they get angry, things catch on fire. The other side, when they get angry, things don't catch on fire. Even in our worst moments, by the narrative's claims, January 6th, did anything catch on fire on January 6th? That's so weird. I love what's going on in one aspect, though. I don't love the property damage. I don't love that regular people who happen to buy a Tesla are now worried about people giving them a hard time. I don't enjoy that fact. I don't enjoy seeing half of the country act feral. Or really, it's not half the country. Please, let's not kid ourselves. It is a small, tiny fringe minority. It's a subset within a subset within a subset here. So it's not anything I'm worried about. I don't enjoy them having a hissy fit or spray painting swastikas or crashing through the windows of businesses that are their perceived political enemies. I am, however, interested in history. And you and I have been just taking a stroll through this whole fascism overuse. That term has classically been overused to describe usually you for disagreeing with whatever your political opposition was throwing up there. You didn't like Obamacare. It's not because you have an economic worldview that disagrees with interfering in free markets. It's you must have been a racist. You must be a fascist. You must be literally Hitler. But here we are. We're adding more and more to the list on the T-chart on who's more fascist here. Because we've already pointed out that the fascists absolutely love gun control. And so which side of the political aisle here loves gun control? The fascists nationalize major industries. They nationalize their car industry. They nationalize healthcare. They got universal healthcare in 1941. Who was president? Who was running Germany then? Oh, gee, I don't know. In so many of these other ways, they want women to not stay home and take care of the kids. They want them to go out into the workforce, like Mary Tyler Moore. They want kids to have universal daycare. That the fascists did that in Germany and Austria back in the day. And I'm exaggerating to make a point here because you're always being accused of being a fascist, and then you turn around and who's having what appears to be Kristallnacht. Do you know what Kristallnacht is? That if you went to public school like me, you would probably have to learn about this on your own later. The Night of the Broken Glass. That was what many people see as the beginning of the movement that really culminated in the Holocaust. But there was a night where they got riled up against their political opponents, and the fascists, the Nazis, went through smashing the windows of businesses of their perceived political opposition. Who is running around smashing the windows of their perceived political opposition? Now, it kind of felt like that during the George Floyd riots, or even going back to the Rodney King riots, or anytime there's someone smashing through the windows of private businesses who are their perceived political foes. It's always been a 100% left phenomenon, but now it's more concentrated down, and they're just attacking Teslas, setting stuff on fire. So we have the Night of the Broken Glass happening. Gee, which side does that sound more fascist for? So they just keep ticking off the check boxes on what you can associate with fascism, and it's getting to a real ridiculous point. Now, my question to you is, are they hurting their own cause? Are they pushing people to our side? Because there's many people who are on Team Red who used to be on Team Blue, and it's quite the normal evolution for people, philosophically speaking, to start off liberal when they're young and migrate to more conservative as they get old. And I feel like this is an accelerant to that process. What do you think? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I can give you a specific example. There's an influencer named Angela Bel Camino. She was the Biden girl. Remember there was an Obama girl? I got a crush on Obama. Na, 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 na. And it was this beautiful woman singing this. It wasn't really a bad song. Actually kind of catchy. And the closest, one of the closest analogs to that for Joe Biden, which is not nearly as popular for obvious reasons. Joe Biden wasn't nearly as popular. She made a song similar to that. She went viral. She caught on, and she has stayed on the social media as a pretty popular, I guess, influencer. Millions of people see her tweets. More people see her tweets than are going to watch Rachel Maddow tonight. And she's one of these people that is saying, hey, I'm with you, Team Blue. I hate Republicans and Orange Man bad as much as the next guy. But torturing Teslas is wrong. Burning other people's cars to make a political point is wrong. And she's also pointing out something that you've pointed out. People call me, send me Facebook messages saying, "Isn't that funny?" Because most of the people that buy Teslas are fellow travelers. They're fellow Team Blue members, and they're pretty much tormenting their own people. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy that too, but that begs the question, are they hurting their own cause? Think of that. If you were a Team Blue member and someone sets your Tesla on fire and spray paints a swastika on it, you're like, hang on a second, I don't think I like my team as much anymore. Now, do you? Because that's another thing on the check boxes. How many times can they run around painting swastikas everywhere before they're the Nazis? We're the Nazis. Y'all are the ones running around putting swastikas everywhere. So let me get this straight. You got the night of broken glass. You're pushing for gun control. You're nationalizing industry. You're getting religion out of public schools. You have all kinds of social programs. And now you're spray painting swastikas everywhere. All into what? Fight the fascist. That's interesting. What do you think? 800-288-9227. Are they hurting their own cause and pushing people to our side with this terrible behavior? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All these Tesla protesters breaking windows, setting things on fire, charging stations, cars on fire. Most of this property damage and vandalism is happening at the expense of their political allies. So I know the guy at the top they're not a big fan of, but it feels to me like they're hurting their own cause. Let's ask my next guest. Raven Harrison's coming back on the James Show. Raven? Do you think these people are hurting their own cause? I mean, who drives Teslas?
Well, it's funny that you say that, but yes, it is hurting the cause because, we have one. So my husband has a Tesla, but also you have to look at it. But this was supposed to be an environmental thing. So is the climate not a thing anymore? With the left, that just went out quickly, but they're harming average people. So a lot of it was mostly Democrats who bought Teslas. And now, again, you can disagree, but you're firebombing, your swastikas, people are painting human feces on it. This is absolutely sickness. There can't be anybody who looks at this and goes, this is a great way to resist, which is by smearing poop on somebody's car. These people have lost their mind.
Yeah, so I guess you saw the butt video. That's what you're referring to?
Well, there's two. One was the butt video. The other one was the guy who smeared feces on his own truck. It was his truck, and he smeared it to drive around, I guess, to make some kind of a statement, which is I'm kind of an idiot. But we are looking at this craziness now, and people tell me, Raven, don't drive your car or your husband's car out of this. And I'm like, I will drive it boldly. These people are nuts. They need to be in handcuffs.
But I think this is a hell of an opportunity because the true believers, if you really believe in catastrophic man-caused global warming, then Elon Musk has probably saved millions of lives, but because he's probably prevented untold numbers of tornadoes and catastrophes and hurricanes and whatever else they blame on climate change. So even if he did have some like MAGA shortcomings, that should easily be overlooked for being one of the greenest, probably the person who's contributed the most to green energy and the green movement in human history.
Correct, which goes to show you this really isn't about the climate. This is just their usual garbage to get money out of people, because if they really believed that, they couldn't do that. First of all, you're not hurting Elon by destroying cars you already paid for. That makes you really stupid. Second thing is Tim Waltz standing up celebrating that Tesla stock has lost, let me tell you, is it 1.6 million pensioners in Minnesota? They own that stock. You're celebrating your own demise. You can't buy that kind of crazy.
Well, we're seeing it, and I am seeing people on Team Blue say this isn't right. You shouldn't be vandalizing Teslas. So I think there's some true believers out there who see what we see, but they're like, uh-oh, these other people who are also on Team Blue must not really care about climate change first. So I'm not sure if we're changing a whole lot of minds or we're just causing a schism within Team Blue.
They are basically, once again, exposing why they are polling at 27% and why they lost in the last election. Again, we're not talking about vandalism. That sounds like, okay, somebody got a spray can. They are firebombing, keying swastikas into the side of cyber trucks. I mean, that is good old-fashioned terrorism. And anybody who can celebrate this as a form of expressing your dissent and then has the audacity to complain about January 6th, well, they were overthrowing the government, but they left their rifles at home, right? These people are certifiable. So again, you never, ever, there is nothing in the Constitution, there is no protest amendment, there is nothing you have that gives you the right to firebomb and throw Molotov cocktails at people's vehicles. This is next level terrorism, and it's homegrown.
Well, also, doesn't this have echoes of their Night of the Broken Glass?
The Summer of Love, yes, where, they just destroyed and burned and looted, and that's because they've come down to is the left, if they can't agree with it, if they can't make an argument against it, they just destroy it. And you will never, ever win. They're just ensuring they will never, ever see the halls of government. This is psychotic, and it has to stop. It is way over the line.
How's your campaign going?
So far, so good. We are in there. The swamp is afraid, so that's how we do it, right?
All right. Raven Harrison, how do we help you out online?
Just everybody go to RavenHarrisonForCongress.com. Remember, wars are expensive. We need patriots to show up. They are well funded, but this is a winnable war. Help us.
All right. I love following you online. You just give them hell all day.
I do.
Thank you, Raven. All right, coming up next, I am so excited about this next guy because he is the school choice guru of America. This is a guy that has been fighting the fight probably longer than anybody. He's Texas based, but he's nationally a juggernaut for school choice across all states. He hails out of San Antonio, but a couple years ago, maybe a little more than a couple years ago, he literally wrote the book on school choice that the rest of us are kind of using as the atlas to get from point A to point B. His name's Corey DeAngelis, and he's coming up on the James Show, the school choice guru of the United States. Really, I would like to say just of Texas because he's here and we're dealing with school choice right now. But he's got some strong opinions on not only what's happening in Austin right now with the possibility of school choice rattling around in the Texas legislature, but also with Trump shutting down the Department of Education. You know, not all of it has been squished. Some of the responsibilities have been sliced off and just moved under different umbrellas in different departments, like the Pell Grants will now go be administered by Treasury and whatnot. So did we really get the elimination of the Department of Education? There's no one better to ask than my next guest. Corey DeAngelis is coming up on the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Corey DeAngelis got rescheduled to 3:35. My next topic is going to deal with some of our neighbors down I-45 in Houston. It's a terrible couple of stories. Two Houston police officers committed suicide in the past, 8 days? And so my next guest is going to help us make a little sense of this. Adina Payton, welcome to the James Show. Are they related in any other way other than that they're both Houston police officers?
I don't believe they are.
Okay, so they didn't experience the same traumatic event, or they weren't partners who had been through something, or this wasn't a buddy system?
Well, I'm not. I don't have all the information on that. I just have a lot of information on why a lot of police officers do ultimately commit suicide.
Well, one of the things that does connect them, they're both female. Is officer suicide higher among females, or is that just a coincidence of this story?
Now, actually, I think the suicide rate is higher for males overall.
Okay.
So,
But
yeah.
Every time I see one of these stories, people like to point out, well, there is help available. Do they not seek the help because they don't think it will work, or because they're embarrassed, or it's expensive, or what? Why do they not know about it?
Now, this is the biggest problem, and I don't think most people in the United States even realize it. They are afraid to get help because the way that the system is set up, if an officer, tells someone that they're having, thoughts, or they're having some mental health issues, they are required to investigate that and take their gun from them. So they know that they're basically either sidelining themselves, or they're going to, be placed in a position to not do what they've signed up to do. They're then not going to have enough money to feed their families. They can't ask for help because the law says that they have to take their gun. And then I would probably not do that myself. It's just like the military. I worked for the military. They would go into battle. They would have trauma. They would try to get help, and they would be flagged and not be promoted. And now that's changing a little bit, but until the system changes, they can't really get help privately. It's going to look bad on their record, and they're afraid, if for no other reason than to the responsibility of having a family or losing their job.
Well, is there a way we can get these people help without including those real negative consequences?
Well, I hope so. My son was killed by the police in a mental health crisis when he was having a mental health crisis. And through that process, I realized that our first responders are many of them traumatized on a daily basis, even firemen, because they get to the scene first. And so what we did is we set up a fund so that any first responder who had a trauma could tap into this fund privately. The only person that would know would be the therapist and the treasurer. I don't know. My board doesn't know. And we are on the state budget line item now, which is really helping, so that a first responder, once they believe this program, they can, without reprisal, without any financial burden to them, go get therapy from any licensed counselor that they would like to go to. So we don't mandate where they go or, who they're going to see, as long as they're fully licensed.
Well, Adina Payton, if there's a first responder here in the DFW area, how do they get help through your program?
Well, our program at this point, because we've only been a nonprofit for 2 years, it's just in the Madison County, Alabama area. But what we're hoping to do is clone this program in every state, so that, if the problem is just money, citizens will give money to protect their first responders. So I would highly recommend you have them call me I can give you the number, or you can have them go to our website, and I would be happy to help them formulate this program in any city that is interested in that.
What's your website?
It's GrammyUS.org, GRAMIUS.org.
All right. Thank you, Miss Adina Payton. I appreciate your time on the James Show.
All right, thank you.
Boy, terrible story. You know, I was friends with some firefighters for a while there. I'd worked with them. They had a side job in their off time. And they just come in with, on a normal day, the worst stories. Like some guy was on a motorcycle on the tollway, and someone clipped him, so he flew off, and then a truck hit him square on, and he has to, by law, go there and give that guy CPR until he's declared dead. And so you're just pushing on what feels like a MyPillow instead of a human being's body. And I'm like, Jim, you're going to need some therapy, sir. You tell the worst stories I have ever heard. Where's the fun fireman stories? Don't y'all have like a ping pong tournament back in the fire station you could tell me about? My God. So yeah, don't let that stuff go unchecked. Get yourself some help, please. You've done enough. Coming up next, would you support gambling in Irving if the people of Irving held their own vote and they approved it? We'll talk about that next. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Because there's a proposal here to put that up for a vote, both for the city of, the city of Irving and the state of Texas to approve gambling. Would you support it if a majority of your neighbors wanted it? Would that change your mind? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. If you want to jump in at any point in the show, it's Friday. We'll be pretty liberal about taking calls today. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up, we'll talk about the specter of gambling in both Irving and across Texas. But I had a good call that I think you might be interested in. Mark in Dallas, you're on WBAP. What's on your mind?
Hey, so I just wanted to kind of go ahead and spread that out a little bit because I was on a construction project where I was the traffic engineer, and I was the point man for setting up traffic control detours and stuff like that. And a lot of the times in situations like that, we're the lead men for those first responders. And I've seen some pretty wild stuff that took me. I'm 40 now, and I started when I was 21, and I'm still getting over it.
Well, it's
some of the stuff that I've seen.
There's a definite divide between the people who put themselves in those situations on a regular basis and the rest of us who are just kind of like innocent children. Because there's also something I've observed because I see these guys. I worked a long time ago, just so y'all know where I'm coming from. I worked at a moving company that was owned by some off-duty firefighters here in Dallas that are 24 hours on, 48 hours off, and a lot of them have side jobs. And so they would work for each other's little company. So I used to work. I would be like the only guy on a crew that wasn't a firefighter sometimes. And they have this other level of humor that's just a step too dark. That's really not acceptable to, the delicate ears of the outside world. Now, me, however, being just a butthead 20-something-year-old, it was fine for me. But there's a certain darkness of comedy that comes with that, Mark.
And you come to learn that once you work with them for a little while. I was on a couple of, it was I-635 between 35 and the I-20. The Trans-Texas corridor where the really, really fast the tolls are now. And I watched 3 cops get hit, and one of the cops' sons was a bike rider, and he got hit so bad that he ended up underneath a crash cushion. And his father was the first cop responder on the site after I'd let him through the traffic.
Oh, my God, shut up.
It is horrific. It's stuff that you see out there on the highways. It's traffic. It's people speeding, people not giving a crap, and mostly drunk drivers after 2:00 a.m.
Yeah, that's where the worst stories seem to come from is the traffic accidents because, there's all kinds of awful, psychological stuff that comes with serial killers or people that abuse children, but just the plain mangling of the human body is something that, most of us never have to go through. And thank God, most people go all day, every day without seeing a dead human being. But then to go see a dead human being that's in all kinds of, I don't want to get graphic on the radio. Yeah, but it damages you.
It does. And like I said, I'm 40 now. I did that when I was 21, and I've gotten into more of a leisure situation now. But it still haunts me to today.
Well, I think the female equivalent of that would be the nurse, because the nurse is someone who has to deal with people at their worst, and they get attached to these people emotionally, taking care of them, and then they have so many patients die on them, like right in front of their face. I feel like you people who have to deal with death give up, just like you're just whittling away at some of your humanity the more y'all do this.
Well, we keep trying until it's over, brother.
All right, well, God bless you, because I that's not one of the jobs I think I could handle. I'm not cut out for that. That's not my bag. So I'm glad there's people stronger than me. Yeah, well,
and I love your show, and you're doing the God's work as well. Spreading the gospel. That's what counts.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's some heartbreaking stuff. That'll really make you appreciate how easy your job is. Because you think I have a fun job, and it is. I don't have a real job. It's not like I'm laying bricks over here or picking people up off the pavement like some poor people have to do. But yeah, I am easily reminded of how good I have it when I have to talk to people who deal with stuff like that. And I've made my children watch a video earlier this week. It's spring break, and they were being out of control buttheads and just entitled kind of spoiled jerks. And so I sat them down on the couch, and I made them watch some videos on, number one, North Korea, to show them like this whole freedom thing that we have and the rights and doing whatever we want. This isn't guaranteed. And number two, I showed them Haiti. You want to live in the most oppressive country in the world, and then you want to see the poorest, most awful country in the world? How good do we have it? Did you ever get on your bicycle to go down to the store and you have to pedal next to a channel full of raw sewage and trash that's just next to the road? You hear gunshots. You have to live in a converted shipping container with no electricity or running water. You just poo in a gutter in the street. Is that cool? Yeah, a little perspective. A little perspective helps out quite a bit because I get on my high horse and I get knocked off right then when I'm reminded just how good I have it. All right, well, that kind of sideways my whole segment there. I was going to talk about legalized gambling, which we will get to later in the show. In fact, don't go anywhere because the second half of the show is going to be a bright, shining, beautiful sunset compared to the first half of the show because we have Name That Artist coming up, and I'm giving away tickets to see Collective Soul live and Our Lady Peace. Also, I'm going to have some more details about the James Show listener meetup. But I'm also from our prize that we're giving away at the listener meetup coming up on Tuesday at the Plano Sports Tavern. Out of the back of the prize closet, we found these old CDs, the best of the fun guys. And this was from WBAP Radio, the station you're listening to now. Back in 2001, back when I was before I even started in radio, when I was listening to WBAP, when I was listening to Hal J in the morning show. So I went and pulled one of the cuts from the CD I'm giving out, Sam from Sales, where he talks about the world's greatest comedy writer. You're going to hear a classic bit from WBAP history. That's like 3 times as old as Mike Traina's son over there hanging out on spring break. So we got a great show coming up. If you have to leave, remember to come back. Like you have to get out of your car and get gas or whatever. When you get back, turn it right back to WBAP. Or if you're going to be from the radio, come back and check out the podcast later. If you want to be a part of the show, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. 9227. Coming up next, Adam Gillette, the guy from the outfit that got the secret video and audio that busted the Capel ISD, breaking Texas state law about curriculum and education. He's coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. My next guest comes from the outlet that gave you the secret hidden audio from Capel ISD. We had talked about it on a couple shows earlier this week. Adam Gillette, welcome to the James Show. He's with Accuracy in Media. And is this your first time on the James Show? Because I know I've played your audio before.
I think it is, but I'm so glad and appreciative that you've played our clips. Thank you.
Well, I love it. You guys are doing some great work. And first question is, how did you know to check on this guy?
Well, we've been in over 100 school districts across the state of Texas, and what we find again and again and again, not just in Capel, but in district after district, is that these radical administrators break the law, deceive parents, lie to parents, whatever the heck they have to do in order to push their radical agenda.
They're so open about it. I know this is a hidden video, and I guess they think that they're talking to a trusted source, but they're pretty proud of breaking the law.
Incredibly proud, because it's like a religion to them. They think they're doing God's work if they believed in God. That's why they will not be stopped by any law. That's why the CRT bans don't matter to them at all, because they think they owe it to your child to do this, that it's in your child's best interest. Of course, you and I would probably say that the parents are best equipped to determine what's in the best interest of these children.
Well, I mean, I do say that, but I also think this is more of a great bullet point for school choice, because if you want your kid to go to the school that teaches critical race theory and Common Core and, lets transgender pick their sports teams, and, I wouldn't have anything against you choosing that school. The problem is I would like to choose my school with my values the way I see fit. So, I mean, I think this is really buttressing school choice more than many other factors out there.
I could not literally agree more. And that's what we always say about this. If you want to send your child to a school where they're taught white privilege and guilt, and that they're taught that America was created to preserve slavery and that we're an evil oppressor nation, well, I would disagree with you, but it's not my kid. You should pick a school that represents your values. And if I feel differently, I should be able to pick a school that represents my values. School choice, like what is currently being considered in your legislature, is the best opportunity for all families, regardless of views, because it lets them pick schools that represent their values.
Well, Adam Gillette, how fun is it to have people go undercover and clandestinely expose this? Are you guys looking for more James Bond undercover reporters like this, or do you already have a cabal that's just waiting to act?
We're always looking to hire brave people who want to expose evildoers. And we've been I've been in over 250 school districts across the country doing this. We obviously, you've seen recently, we released our multi-part investigation showing how administrators in Texas get boys into girls' sports. I always say that it's great that police officers wear body cameras. I wish politicians wore body cameras. The next best thing is a hidden camera investigative journalist exposing their evil doing.
Well, there's also some other cute ironies that are packaged within your story. The guy at Capel ISD who is over the curriculum decisions for the entire school district was this filmed in 2025? Because he's wearing a mask, Adam, and that's just that makes me want to slap my forehead.
This one is not from 2025. We visited him most recently in early 2022, and we released that video a couple times between now and then, but it picked up steam now, of course, because your attorney general sued his district. Your attorney general, of course, also is investigating 4 other districts that we exposed earlier this year. And as a result, we're going to be releasing and confronting even more of these administrators across Texas that we've exposed for the last few years. Because the thing is, everyone realizes there are problems in education, but they want to believe that their school district is the good one. No one wants to believe that every day they're sending their child to a propaganda factory. But I meet with those same principals and administrators, and they brag to me about how they lie to you.
So if someone has a tip for someone for Accuracy in Media to come bust, how do they get in touch with you?
Hit us up at any of the social media platforms. Go to our website. Email us at info@aim.org, info@aim.org, or just go to aim.org. We always love exposing this, and we'd love to partner with great Texans to do more of it.
Yeah, this is Adam Gillette. The outfit is Accuracy in Media, which is where he gets the website aim.org, not .com, aim.org. Well, I really appreciate your videos. It's great for radio content, so keep cranking this stuff out, Adam.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. I love that. I love the secret cameras. Just busting these people. And really the most enjoyable part is how smug they are. And when they think, the person who's recording them will send out kind of signals like, yeah, well, we can't let those stupid Trumpers, know what's going on. They're like, oh, absolutely not. We just do what's right. We don't care what the law says. And they brag about it once they think they're in, talking to a safe person. Man, they're so just dripping with condescension, just elitist, smug. Oh, that's why it's so delicious when you see them hoisted on their petard when the video gets released. Good stuff. Find it AIM.org. AIM.org. All right, now coming up next, a state senator from Dallas from here filed a resolution in Austin putting the question to you, the voters. Would you be okay with legal gambling if you knew most Texans wanted it? What if we had a Texas referendum and it said yes? Would that change your mind? What if there was a referendum in Irving that said yes? Would that change your mind? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Oh my goodness, isn't this a great time to be a sports fan? Look at everything that's going on. It's a whirlwind. You got the March tournament burning up basketball right now. I know 99.9% of your brackets are all busted up. Thank you, Drake. But then you have the pros that are about to get into their basketball playoff season. Then you have opening day, which is happening on Monday for you baseball fans out there. Hockey's still rolling along, and the Stars look better than they did last year. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. If you're enjoying this, why don't you add a little bit more spice to the sports you already love? Here's the cool thing about Prize Picks. In the lineup that you make of 2 to 6 players, you can mix and match from all these different leagues. You can have a college basketball guy say, hey, will Ratnan, will he spend more than 17 minutes on the ice or less? Or will you can still go get Luka, whoever he's playing for. We can pretend like he's playing for the Mavericks, but will he get more or less than 29 points? Will the star from your favorite college team get more or less than his point statistic? Then you mix and match all those up. You could win up to 1,000 times your money, and you could do it with Prize Picks with our money. If you download it, use promo code WBAP, you get $50 in promo cash with your first $5 game. So download the Prize Picks app. Mix all these sports together, add a little bit more fun. Use promo code WBAP, get $50 with your first $5 play. Prize Picks, run your game. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. A state senator from our area here in Dallas has a proposal in Austin that would put a resolution to the voters of Texas. Would you be okay with legal gambling? And I find this an interesting exercise, but falling short of convincing for a couple reasons, because this is another sort of philosophical question that we're talking about here. Let's take out gambling and let's just leave a blank in there and see how this applies to all other rights, because consistency is key here. If you want to be logical and sound logical, who cares if a majority of your neighbors think you should or should not have the right to blank, whatever it is: voting, carrying a gun, gambling, buying booze on a Sunday, buying weed, whatever. I believe, and I think is also the position of the founding fathers and anyone who believes in a constitutional republic, that your rights are not dependent on a majority's approval. You've just defined what a democracy is, a pure democracy. Your rights, the laws of your state, your rules for society are determined by a 50% plus one majority, which means they can sway in the wind, which means you could have the right to gamble today. And then when they do this vote again next year, maybe you could lose that right to vote. See, that doesn't make any sense. If it's good, if it's right, if you have the right to do it, it shouldn't be going back and forth like that. I'm grateful we live in a constitutional republic where the majority can't strip away your rights. What if 51% of your neighbors wanted to repeal the Second Amendment? What if 51% of your neighbors says, yeah, let's repeal the right to religion, freedom of religion? What if 51% of your neighbors said, we want to repeal the right of freedom of speech? Well, that wouldn't make it right. That would make the 51% wrong, wouldn't it? Now do gambling. Do you think your rights should be dependent on a 51% majority? I doubt that. So one of the reasons I find this exercise so compelling is a lot of the arguments I hear against gambling. At the Irving town halls that they were having last week and this week, people were going up to the microphone. Nobody here wants it. So does that make it wrong? Well, yeah, if nobody here wants it, then it's wrong. Well, no, that's not how rights work. If nobody here wants your free speech, does that make it wrong? So I also like to point to my not just philosophical backing, but also his history. The founding fathers didn't feel the need to prohibit gambling. Prohibiting other vices hasn't worked. In the places where vices have been set free, like alcohol, you've seen crime go down. Now, overall, alcohol still causes crime, still involved in drunk driving accidents and DWIs and domestic violence and people getting in bar fights and whatnot. But when it was prohibited, you could add on that all that violence was still there, but there was also the mob violence of the Al Capones of the world. So there's no beautiful trade-offs. There's no utopia. That's not what I'm promising. Oh, yeah, there's going to be a lot of ugly stuff that comes with gambling. There's going to be additional crime. There's going to be additional negative consequences. I think your rights are more important than that. 800-288-9227. Let's talk to Yvonne in Dallas. You're on WBAP. What do you think about it?
I believe that gambling would bring in more negative than it would positive. Even though the talk is gambling will bring revenue in, I think it will bring in more negative aspects than it does good, such as human trafficking. It's a major thing that follows where gambling goes.
Well, see, I find that unconvincing too, because if you want to make that argument, then any high dense development, anytime you make a major city, you're going to bring in that element. The homeless people come with every large city. So in order
I'm
to
not talking about homelessness.
I know. I'm using this
as trafficking.
I know. I'm using this as a parallel here. I'm using this as sort of a metaphor here. So really, the only way to avoid that is to never make a big city. Are we better off like that? Should we just raise all the buildings and make everyone live in a rural setting so we don't have that?
That wasn't your initial question to me. You wanted my opinion. Do I think gambling is good for our city? And I think the answer is no.
Okay. That's it? It's just more bad than good?
Yes.
So my rights are now dependent on whether or not Yvonne thinks there's more bad than good to it?
If there's more Yvonnes here, then perhaps that's the way it will be.
So what if 90% of Irving wanted the casino, but 10% felt like you did? Would that be right for them to run over your preferred statecraft because they're a majority? Would that make it right?
Whether it's right or wrong, you asked for my opinion, and my opinion is gambling does not help our community.
But you're not saying anything behind it. You're saying, I think it's bad because it's bad. Okay. Well, I guess she's done. She didn't hang up. She's still there. All right. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I mean, you know what else brings human trafficking? Whenever you have a convention. You know what else brings human trafficking? Whenever you host a Super Bowl. Is that necessarily bad? When Arlington had the Super Bowl, you saw the reports, human trafficking goes through the roof anytime someone hosts a Super Bowl. Does that mean we should just cancel the Super Bowl? And I'm not saying it doesn't bring bad stuff. I'm not even saying I think it's going to be more positive than negative. I am erring on the side of freedom because you're not creating the people who are, it's like, oh, I wasn't going to gamble, but then they built a casino and now all of a sudden I'm addicted to gambling. Those addicts aren't going to go away. They're just going to be driven underground. Just like, you can outlaw drugs all you want. Hunter Biden's still going to get cocaine tomorrow. It doesn't matter how many busts you make at the border or how tough you make the penalties. I think your rights are important to have, even if other people perceive them, and that's such a subjective thing. Even if there's other people who think that they're more bad than good, and you can't use something that's subjective as bad. Oh, that's more bad than good. High fructose corn syrup is more bad than good. I'm not trying to outlaw Starburst. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Should the right to gambling be dependent on this referendum proposed in Austin? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, hey there. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. My next guest is the school choice guru of America. I know that because that's what I've named him. Corey DeAngelis is back on, and he's a guy who has been probably one of the most successful advocates for school choice. Every time I see you in a viral video, Corey, online, you are just destroying somebody. So I'm excited to have you on the James Show for the first time. How did you get into this? How did you become the preeminent school choice advocate?
Yeah, I actually started as a researcher. I did my PhD in education policy at the University of Arkansas, and my first study linked the Milwaukee private school choice program, which started in 1990. We were able to follow student-level data until they were about 30 years of age, found significant reductions in crime, which to me, it really shouldn't be all that surprising that, if you get access to a better education through a school choice initiative, you're going to be more likely to graduate. You're going to be less likely to end up in the criminal justice system. You're going to be less likely to be around gangs and drugs and violence, which are negative influences, which should help you in the long run. So I thought I was going to go into academia. I published a lot of peer-reviewed studies. And then I figured, there's a lot of lefties in these institutions, and I'm kind of fighting against the grain here, and it was really an uphill battle. And I figured I'd go to a place where I'd be rewarded for my ideas as opposed to being punished. So I went into think tanks, and now I'm living back in San Antonio, Texas, where I grew up.
So let's talk about, I first became aware of you in depth. I'd seen the name floating around before, but your book, when you went on the sort of the book tour promoting the Parent Revolution, that's when I saw you, I guess because you were just armed with all the arrows in your quiver. You were one of my favorite interviews to watch when you were doing that book tour. What made you write that book, and why did it stick so well when there's a bunch of other books on the same topic?
Yeah, I actually dedicated the book to Randy Weingarten and the Teachers Union. She's the head
hilarious.
of the AFT. I mean, she's the one who's crying on MSNBC every day.
I did not know that.
I posted some viral clips of her recently. Just like, so she's saying, I'm really angry. I'm so mad about the Department of Education getting abolished. She's actually more afraid than anything else. Her power is slipping through her fingertips every single day lately, and she's losing her monopoly on the minds of other people's kids. But I dedicated that book to her for inadvertently doing more to advance school choice and homeschooling than anyone could have ever imagined. I mean, she fought to keep the schools closed. That showed parents what was happening in the classroom, and parents who didn't want critical race theory, gender ideology, they wanted the basics. They wanted education, not indoctrination. Those parents went to their elected officials. They went to the school board meetings, and they started this parent revolution, which hence the name of the book, that has really led to 15 red states now passing universal school choice, with Texas on deck to be number 16 or maybe even number 17 if New Hampshire beats Texas to the finish line this year. South Carolina is also in the running this year as well. So we hadn't seen any momentum like this in the school choice movement basically at all. For decades, we were banging our head against the wall, getting incremental reform, but we basically went from 0 to 100 real quick on the issue.
And COVID did that.
Winners and losers.
I think COVID did that.
The unions did it. Parents saw it. Yeah, because school choice has always been a good idea, but as Milton Friedman famously said, real change only really occurs when you have the right ideas laying around at the time in response to a problem. COVID was the problem, more so the unions. It was the response to COVID more than anything else. It just goes to show you, like, they were so bad academically. It was worse than that. They were always bad academically, but they knew that they could hold the kids' education hostage during COVID, keep the schools closed, and use that as a leverage for why they needed more ransom payments from taxpayers. And so they got a lot of money, but their plan backfired because it showed parents where their priorities lie.
Yeah, I think most of the people listening to us right now already agree with us on school choice. Why would they want to get a book on something they already agree with?
This can apply to other policies as well. I mean, it really goes to show you when ordinary people, go up against special interests, they can actually win. Special interests usually win, in education, you have the teachers unions and the superintendents unions. They used to win because they were the only people really commit the interest of the politicians because they would lock arms and fight together. Well, we've seen parents can do the same thing and outnumber the teachers unions, and they can become more powerful than the unions because they care about their kids more than anybody else. So if you're interested in any policy topic, you can kind of copy paste these ideas and how we've had so much momentum and push them to other areas. But also, even if you like your public school, well, I always say you can keep your public school when you have school choice.
Right.
For real this time, unlike with your doctor, you can actually, the public schools improve in response to competition. But even if you don't have kids, or maybe you're homeschooling your kids and you're not interested in any school choice initiatives and you just want to keep separate from it, all of the systems altogether, you should care about this book and this fight, because a lot of our kids are being indoctrinated in these schools to like big government as the solution to all their problems. They're going to vote to regulate you in the future. They're going to vote to take away more of your money in the future. They're going to vote to turn America into a more socialist country. And that's what's happening today. Too many of the schools, even if they're run by Republicans on the school board, a lot of them are rhinos. And a lot of times what happens behind closed doors isn't even on the radar of a lot of people. And the school system has been infiltrated by leftists, churning out Democrat voters year after year. They're going to take our country in the wrong direction. So in order to fight back, look, a lot of conservatives figure they could just have more kids, but that's not going to win the war in the long run, because there's millions of kids going through the school system nationwide each year, and you can't fight back just by having more kids. The left has figured out that they don't even have to have their own kids. They can use the school system to control other people's kids.
Yeah,
So
why have kids? We can
take our
just
country
co-opt
back.
yours. Yeah. All right. This is America's preeminent school choice advocate, Corey DeAngelis, author of The Parent Revolution. Thanks for being on the James Show. I hope to have you back on a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. There he is, Corey DeAngelis. You've probably seen him on Fox News 10 times, and you just didn't put two and two together. But coming up next, I'm going to answer some of these guys that are on hold here who wanted to talk about the proposal to put gambling up to a vote in Texas, because a lot of you who say you're against it, would you still be against it if a majority of your neighbors were for it? Does that affect it at all? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome to the James Show. There's a state rep from the Dallas area who has a proposal down in Austin that would put a referendum to all Texan voters on whether or not we should legalize gambling. Would that change your mind if you found out 51% of your neighbors were okay with gambling? Would that make you be okay with gambling? I hear a lot of the case against it. Well, I don't mind it, but if the people of Irving don't want it, then they shouldn't have it. Or if the people of Texas don't want it, they shouldn't have it. Well, what's your argument if they do? 800-288-9227. This is Steve in Carrollton. You're on WBAP. What do you think about legal gambling in Texas?
Well, I don't think we should consider it even. I don't think it's one of those things that is on the top list of things that we should be worried about. The Texas State House has so much stuff to worry about that gambling ought to be numbered like 993 on that list, and they're giving too much effort to it.
So you're against gambling because there's more important things that we should be doing?
That's one of two reasons, but yeah.
Give me the other reason then.
Well, because we already know that there are things that we do as a state that are beneficial to society. Gambling isn't one of them at all. If you want to go gamble, feel free to go someplace where gambling is legal. We don't need it here. As we also know, it's obviously, since we're supposed to be a biblical principled place, we're in the Bible Belt. We're in a situation where we should be doing things that are biblical censored. Geez whiz, my English is terrible.
You're under the impression that if we legalize gambling, we would grow to regret it.
Absolutely, no question.
Okay, so where has that happened? Because I saw in Louisiana where they've legalized somewhat on the fringes gambling here and there, and they haven't torn down any of those casinos and changed their mind. On the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, it's only grown and expanded year after year. They love it down there, and so I haven't found any place that has opened up gambling that has grown to regret it and close it down. Can you give me an example of that?
So growing to regret it and closing it down are two different things. Growing to regret it means that the people have become less than beneficial, which is one thing. But politicians are politicians, and they're going to go where the money is. If you keep paying me as a politician, I'm going to be as crooked as the day is long.
Yeah, but Steve,
if you look at the numbers, you'll see the people in Louisiana and states like it have gotten worse and worse poverty numbers than they ever had before. It's not about whether they love it. It's not about them loving it. It's about the result of the business.
It is about them loving it, because I'm not saying that there's no negative consequences that come from it. I'm saying the positive that comes from it. The people of the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, there is no push to repeal gambling that is sizable. There's far more positives out there than negatives. It has been a boon to that place. The people actually move there on purpose now. People move to Mississippi on purpose. That's how successful gambling is. Sean and Godly, you're on WBAP. What do you think about legalized gambling?
How you doing, sir? I'm originally from Las Vegas. I just moved out to Texas. I believe that this, along with the lotto, should be, it should be up and running. I believe the casino should come to Texas. Now, let me tell you why. I think they should come so that way the casinos, as well as the lotto, can take on a majority of the tax to take away the burden from the property owners in Texas, with more than 85% being residential, not like large acreage farming. Even with a homestead exemption, people are paying so much money to barely afford their homes, even if they own it outright. I believe that the casinos coming to Texas could take care of a majority of those taxes to take the burden away from people. I've said it ever since I came here and realized how ridiculous these property taxes are.
Right.
Not only will it be good for the community in that aspect, but I also believe it'll be good for the economy. The people will have so much more money in their pocket that it will flourish the state of Texas, along with legalizing marijuana. If people don't like gambling, we got the lotto. So regardless if the casinos are here or not, we got gambling with the lotto. The only difference is that you're going into a corner store, not an establishment with a slot machine.
Right. A couple of, and we're kind of out of time here, but you're making some great points, Sean and Godly. And so I think the lotto should be privatized, number one. But on to his point here, more good than bad. If it was to replace property taxes, that'd be fantastic. But we have also observed that these places where they do the lotto, they're like, well, this will only go to education. Well, that doesn't mean they keep spending the amount they used to spend on education. Just add that on top. It supplants what they used to spend on education, and that money goes to somewhere else. So those promises never quite come to fruition. So I don't think it should be legal because, hey, this might replace our property taxes. I'm here because I think it should be legal because I'm for freedom. I'm for individual responsibility. And that's kind of what the founding fathers thought. And I don't suppose my judgment is better than theirs. Coming up next, we'll talk about immigration. Can we deport the Tesla protesters to El Salvador next? We'll ask an immigration attorney on the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Should we be able to deport Tesla protesters? Let's ask my next guest. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch is back on. She's an immigration attorney here in Texas and someone who we lean on because she actually deals with this during her business day. Welcome back, Kate.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Okay, so this comes up in a couple of instances. First, I want to talk about the serious business. There was the plane of people being deported to the El Salvador, Bukele, and Trump made a deal. And we're told that these are all gang members, Tren de Aragua, MS-13. There was a judge that tried to stop it. The plane kept going. Your thoughts on that situation, Kate?
I think it's really concerning overstep by the Trump administration of executive authority. I mean, they happen to have picked a set of facts that I think makes a lot of people supportive of their actions. But if you step back and take out sort of the fact pattern at play, what we have here is the office of the president denying a federal judge's order or not following the order, which is, how the democracy falls. There goes the system of checks and balances. And, when you talk about the specific instances, I mean, the use of the Alien Enemies Act is improper. Of course, we have seen no evidence and have seen evidence to the contrary that these men are actually gang members of Tren de Aragua. So it's like the whole thing is extremely concerning, I think, to people who are paying attention to what's happening.
So if you selectively enforce immigration law, that's democracy failing.
No, this isn't selectively enforcing immigration law. This is improperly utilizing a law from the late 1700s that was in place for a president during a time of war to detain and deport enemy combatants from that country with which we were at war. So that's number one. That's not occurring. Number two, there's been zero due process for these men. They have not gone to a court hearing. They have not had lawyers. No evidence has been presented that they are actually gang members. And I have talked to and seen multiple cases of family members of these men saying he's absolutely not a gang member. He doesn't have any tattoos. He's just a young man from Venezuela. And now these men find themselves in El Salvador, where a federal judge is saying, hold on a minute, I'm ordering you not to take this action. We need to review this. And the Trump administration just disregards the order and sends them anyway, and then shuts down a conversation before the federal judge, and then calls for the impeachment of the judge, which then draws the Supreme Court to speak out and say, hold on a minute, you can't just call for impeachment of a federal judge just because you don't like his political position. So yeah, it is really, really concerning, because what's the next thing the Trump administration is going to do that a federal judge is trying to stop him from doing, that he just keeps on doing? And the courts do not have armies. Those 9 justices over there in Washington have black robes, and that's it to enforce things. And so if we can't rely upon the 3 branches of government to check each other in the way that the founders, anticipated, we really don't have a democracy anymore. And this is the first instance we've seen where a presidential administration just outright defies a federal court order, and it is extremely chilling. And that's why I say, for people who are scared of Venezuelan immigrants, think that Venezuelans are really bad, want people to be deported who are criminals, et cetera. Okay, number one, question whether that's actually true about this group of people. And then number 2, take the fact pattern out of the mix. Is it okay that the president can defy a federal court order under our current governmental structure? Does anybody feel safe when that is allowed?
I feel safe.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens next time Trump takes an action and the courts try to stop him. And it's something that you don't like. I mean, we are headed towards, a dictatorship where he has carte blanche to do whatever he wants. And there's going to come a time where the next steps that he takes is going to be something that you don't like, and then nobody's there to stop him.
Well, you sound like my right-wing friends when they were fussing about Biden ignoring the Supreme Court order, stopping him paying off student loans. So I think both sides are a little guilty about this, and not to do a bunch of whataboutism here, but people seem to be selectively concerned about enforcing court orders.
Well, I never heard of Biden not, paying off student loans or whatever, not following a court order. That's something that I did not hear of that, but.
Well, let me ask you this, Kate. What happened to the guys that were sent to Gitmo? Are they still there, or have they been moved somewhere else? I was told that there was like a temporary detention facility that was happening there for some of these deportees.
The last I heard on the Guantanamo detainees is that they were brought back, and that as of, I think it was about a week to 10 days ago, there were no immigrants detained in Guantanamo.
What about the idea of, I know he just put this on Truth Social, so there's no executive order or law or even action here, but he did mention the idea of sending some of these Tesla domestic terrorists to Guantanamo. Do you think that's actually going to happen, or is he just being funny?
I mean, none of this is funny, but yes, I think that is within the realm of possibility, and that's why I am concerned and why you should be concerned if U.S. citizens in the United States are potentially going to be shipped off of U.S. soil in foreign prisons without access to lawyers, without due process rights. Where does it end? Where does it end? Is it next stop somebody who just doesn't align politically with Trump? That is so easily within the realm of possibility down this slippery slope that we're on. And
I think we're drawing the line at property damage, violence, or intimidation for a political cause, which is the textbook definition of terrorism.
Okay, you believe that he's going to draw the line there? I don't. I do not trust that Trump is going to say, oh, you know what? The textbook definition of terrorism is where I happen to draw the line. When has he said that? When has he ever drawn a line? No, he's going to keep going. He is retaliatory and vindictive, and no one's going to be there to stop him. He's going to keep going, and it's going to be the people he doesn't like, the people who stand up to him, the people who disagree with him. Those are the people who are going to be on the chopping block, and that is pretty scary.
I love having you on. Kate, we're out of time, but it was a spirited debate. I appreciate your expertise here. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch. Lincoln like the president, Goldfinch that's a bird, right?
Like the bird, that's right.
Thank you very much, Kate. Appreciate it. So Texas immigration attorney, if you're looking for one, you can see she likes to spar. 800-288-9227. If you got any comments on that immigration situation, 800-288-9227. Coming up after these very excited callers, I'm going to give you 10 ways to spot an AI image on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I feel like there's a homeowner out there who's trying to sell his home, but then there was an inspection and somebody found something wrong with the roof. And now you're concerned because you're going to have to spend, a whole bunch of money to get your roof fixed so you can actually get this thing sold. Well, let me help you out with that. Why don't you try the guys at Blue Ribbon Roofing? It is a local family roofing company that's been around for 31 years. John and Tish started it. Their son Trevor's now in the business as well. And they can help you with that. They'll come out, they'll do their own inspection for free, and then they'll give you your options. Maybe you just need a quick patch that won't cost much. Maybe you need a whole new roof, but the insurance company isn't being too cooperative. Blue Ribbon can help you with that. They've handled that paperwork bazillions of times. You haven't done it as much as they have. Let them help you with that, and we'll find out what your options are and make sure that gets taken care of. Well, they know how to bend the insurance company to your will. So give them a call. Go to blueribbondfw.com. And don't just believe me. When you go to their website, you can click through and read the hundreds of 5-star reviews. And you'll understand why they've been in business 31 years. So it is the trusted family company, local guys that will do it right. And they'll still be in business to honor the warranty. If you ever need to call them in the future, they're not going to be gone, moving on to the next business. They are here for 30 years, and I expect them to be here for 30 more. BlueRibbonDFW.com. Mention the James Show. You get a free ridge vent ventilation upgrade. BlueRibbonDFW.com. You guys, this is why we have Kate on. Don't even bother calling. There's like 20 people on hold right now because I don't think it was something I said. It might have been the immigration attorney we had in the last segment who has different views about how some of our immigration laws are being enforced right now. Oh my God, y'all look so angry in text. Troy in Haltom City, you're on WBAP. Your thoughts on Kate? Go.
Hey, James. Love the show. I listen all the time. I listen to Kate when she comes on, and 80% of the time I love what she's saying. But this time, this law from the 1700s that President Trump is using, it's a wartime law. Okay. I don't know if it says the people that we're at war against. I need to read it more specifically if I ever find it. But technically, we're at war with North Korea still. We've never signed a peace agreement. It's an armistice, but it's not a. It's not a.
Well, technically, we never formally declared that. We haven't formally declared a war since World War II. Although, that feels like a weird formality because we did have an authorization for the use of military force against Iraq and Afghanistan under George W. Bush. So, I mean, if that doesn't count as a declaration of war, do we have to put declaration of war in Times New Roman font at the top? So, yeah, I mean, I understand your point, but yeah, Kate wasn't selling me on that either.
Okay, and then second point, President Trump is the first president to completely disregard a judge's order.
Yeah, that's never happened.
Just a couple of years ago, President Biden completely disregarded the United States Supreme Court on tuition repayment.
Yeah. That's you heard me bring that up. I hope I made you proud there, Troy, because that's the first thing that came to my mind. Because I'm let me go all the way back in history to the last time this happened. Oh, you mean the previous guy? Because pretty much every president in our lifetime has butted up against the Supreme Court and tried to work around it. So to be all aghast, oh my God, he's ignoring the municipal traffic court of Newtown, Connecticut, or something. Yeah, I'm not losing any sleep over that dude. Oh no! Oh well, bring the trained Aragua guys back and let's drop them off in my daughter's school. How about that? Thank you, Troy. Good call.
Yeah, thank you, James.
Terry in Azle, you're on the James Show. What do you think, sir?
Well, it's a she, and I think
ma'am.
that well, no, it's fine. I think that this attorney needs to go back to school and realize these federal judges who are trying to put injunctions and restrictions on the executive branch's authority can't. They're not supposed to. They're out of their swim lane. They don't have the authority to try to bind up the president and stop him from executing his duties. So that's one. Two, terrorists are terrorists, and deporting illegal aliens, I don't see the difference except one goes to Guantanamo and another goes back to their own country maybe, but they're all criminals in my mind. It's just to what extent are they a criminal? Are they you just broke a little law criminal, or, oh, you're a murderer, rapist, and human trafficking criminal? Does it matter? I mean, which kind of criminals do you want in your backyard?
No, and I find it adorable too, the concern for these people, because I think they've already reached the threshold for getting deported. That's being here illegally. There doesn't need to be any second step or part B or escalating level of criminality. You're already here illegal. That's enough of an excuse for you to get deported in my book. And if we did make some mistakes and, deport some wrong people, we'll bring them back. Maybe give them a high five or something. Maybe give them a gift certificate to Shoney's, I guess. Kenny in Paris, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
All right, man. I think ditto. I think we're forgetting one thing, or she was, that, due process is only guaranteed for American citizens.
Well, sort of, but we
allow that for people that are not citizens, but due process is only guaranteed for American citizens.
Well, look, I think the constitutional rights apply to everybody, whether you're a citizen here or not, including due process. But these were already guys
not the right to bear arms.
No, it does. It does. You don't. You get that even if you're not, because it's a God-given right. It's a natural right. It's not given to you by government. Same thing with free speech. And I don't think like the constitutional argument that still supports these guys being deported. Like, oh, you're just deporting like the Palestinian activist guy that loves Hamas from Colombia that's getting deported. You're deporting him just for his free speech. No, we're not depriving him of his free speech. He's just going to go have his free speech over wherever the hell he came from. Gaza.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. But I think when she was harping on the due process, we don't owe them due process. They're here as a criminal, and if you're going to be a criminal, you're going to take a chance on being incarcerated.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line.
Right, and I doubt any of these guys have been arrested and detained, and no one checked their immigration status. We're not just picking random people up at Best Buy and sending them to El Salvador.
Sure, yeah.
All right, love it. Thank you very much.
We're swimming in them here in Paris, so keep that in mind.
The real Paris, not the cheap imitation in France.
No, they're not the cheap one over there. They got one in Tennessee too.
Ugh, gross. All right.
The one over here in Texas.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, I'm out of time for calls. You guys look great, though. Thanks for calling in. I know that was fun, wasn't it? Wasn't that great? Coming up next, we're going to play Name That Artist, 2 tickets to see Collective Soul and Live and Our Lady Peace. They're going to be here August 13th. If you want to try and win those tickets, go ahead and call in now. Get on hold so when we play the montage, you can write them all down. And when we go to you list them out. You look like a genius. You get some tickets, and your Friday's made even sweeter. Name That Artist coming up next. If you want to play, here's the number, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Time to play Name That Artist. We're going to be playing for a pair of tickets to see Collective Soul live and Our Lady Peace. And it's so weird when the top two bands, I mean, I like Collective Soul, I like live, but I'd rather, if I was going to see any one of those three, I'd choose Our Lady Peace. And if you're like, well, who's that? It's a one-hit wonder from the 90s. They're just this song.
Thinking why,
All right, if you're about my age, you probably know that song. Plus or minus 10 years, no idea. It was a very narrow window of popularity for that band, much like Collective Soul and live. But here's how it works. We're going to play a montage. You people on hold, get out a piece of paper or a notepad on your file. Type in just the artist is all we need to these 10 songs, most of which are from the 90s as well. So same genre. So if you're interested in those bands, you probably have a pretty good shot at this. Now, if you don't get all 10, we're just going to see who gets the most, okay? Here's the montage. Write them in. Ready, go. All right. This was so brutal. We had the phones. We had people on the phone lines, and you saw them just drop off one by one. It's like, I don't know who Meredith Brooks is. I don't know. Look, when I was going through this, I didn't get Meredith Brooks. I didn't get Ty Bachman. I think I got all the rest of them. Let me see. Yeah, I got all the rest of them. I just missed two. Bro, you don't have to get all 10 of them to win. You just have to get more than the other people on hold. Oh, man, that was hilarious. Because this happens before. What usually happens is we have like 5 or 6 people on hold, and like maybe 2 or 3 of them will drop off. They're like, I'm not about to embarrass myself. And then a couple people hang on. This time we just watch them all just plink, 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 go. So here's the new deal. You're in luck. If you want to go see Collective Soul live or Our Lady Peace, all you got to do is call in and get one right, and you would be our top scorer because no one else now people are calling in. Yeah, very smart. 800-288-9227. Hey, Tom in Fort Worth, how would you like to win? Name that artist. Name as many artists as you possibly can out of that montage.
Oh man, that was hilarious. Because
now you got to turn off your radio and listen to me.
Yo.
All right, name the artist. Name the artist on Name That Artist.
Huey Lewis, Matchbox 20, Wildflowers, Nickelback, Green Day, Three Doors Down.
Is that all you got?
Y'all are playing them so fast. I think it is all I got.
Well, that's enough. Because the other people that are calling in should have called earlier. I guess we did kind of pack out the phone lines. You're the luckiest dude ever. I don't think we've ever had that happen before. This is the first time. But you just saw Tom very easily win 2 tickets to see Collective Soul live and Our Lady Peace, the Pavilion at Toyota Music Factory, August 13th. Get tickets and information for the rest of us at livenation.com. Tom from Fort Worth, thank you very much for playing.
Right on.
All right. That was so easy. All right. Don't hang up. You get on hold. Garrett will get you information. And these days we just email you the tickets. My God, that was easy. All right. Quick announcement. The next James Show listener meetup is going to be at Plano Sports Tavern coming up Tuesday. That's March 25th, 7 p.m. till whenever. And the grand prize, we have some other giveaways too, but the grand prize is going to be one of these classic CDs, Volume 1 of Best of the Fun Guys. It's from WBAP. This was put out in 2001. And I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's like 3 minutes long and I only have like 30 seconds here. But it's a CD that has a bunch of classic bits that you used to listen to when you were listening 25, 30 years ago. Because I know I was listening to WBAP when this CD came out. I knew some of these bits. I hadn't heard all of them. But I used to listen to Hal J in the morning. It's so weird to work with him now. It really is. But for those of you, if you want to have like the weird memory flashback for younger people like Garrett's age, this is what talk radio sounded like when you were born about. This is Sam from Sales, a classic bit. Just a taste.
And we'll be on.
See, there's still Hal. He still sounds like Hal, doesn't he?
Here is it is Sam.
Sam.
Yeah! All right, Sam. Hey. Oh, how you doing there, fun guy?
Great.
Good to see you. Good to see you today. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, what?
You got Jan Dinkins on?
No, not Dan. No, Dan Jenkins.
All right, that's all you get. That's all of your little sneak preview there. For the rest of it, you're going to have to come to the James Show listener meetup, Plano Sports Tavern, coming up Tuesday at 7 o'clock. It's at the corner of Custer and Parker. See, so you can at least remember one of the roads. And if you don't remember, just your phone knows how to get there. Just ask your phone. Coming up next, some new ninja skills to navigate 2025. I'm going to give you 10 tips to recognize if that photo you're looking at on your phone is made by AI. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. It's 2025. Technology moves along, and I want to keep you updated. Just because we're getting old doesn't mean we have to be old. I saw a great list from this guy named the Cyber Guy. 10 ways to spot an AI image. Now, this is a skill you've already been developing, whether you realize it or not, or whether you're conscious of it or not. I have too. Garrett has. We've all been doing this because now we never saw AI pictures up until 2-3 years ago, 4, maybe 5 years ago at the most. So, 10 years ago, no one had to worry about how to spot an AI image. Now, I bet you already know a couple of the answers to this one. Because number one, I would say, is look at the fingers. For some reason, as smart as AI is, being able to kind of hive mind all of human intelligence available online into one big beastly computer, they still haven't figured out how many fingers we have. It's 5 computers, overlords. 5. All right. We have 5 fingers. We don't have a thumb and 6 fingers. Also, we don't have 40 teeth. If you've ever seen AI get confused, no, we have 32 teeth tops. And unless you're in Mesquite, then it's much less. But for most of us, we have. I'm kidding. Don't get upset, Mesquite people. Also, the number 2 way to spot an AI image is the textures. If you look at someone's skin and they're glossy, we know human beings don't reflect light like that. It doesn't matter what race you are. So that's one of the quick giveaways is textures, most of which is glossy, but also sometimes you see in nature scenes where a leaf looks like plastic or the bark looks like plastic or just a little too perfect. That's a dead giveaway. Number 3, another common one you've probably noticed too is lighting issues. They're getting pretty good, or they're getting better at just accepting the fact that generally light comes from one source. So if you have contrasting shadow angles, that's a dead giveaway, but it still pops up. Number 4 in the list of ways to spot an AI image in 2025 is check out the background. The AI still struggles with depth. So, if you see the perspective a little off, if you see a building that looks like it's leaning, or if you see a skyline that doesn't look like it matches up with the curvature of the earth or the angles around it, that's a big one. Number 5, this is an obvious one, but also a dead giveaway. Messed up words. I've tried to make some AI images out of a still shot of the video that we stream over here on the WBAP Facebook, and it will make me look like a Roman general, and the Dallas skyline look like I'm storming the Theodosian walls of Constantinople. But the WBAP logo, it can't figure that out. It's W what? And it puts in either random letters or shapes that aren't even letters. It's how do you not know the alphabet, dude? That is our logo. It's 4 letters. AI hasn't figured out words, especially in complex images like logos. There's also the Cyber Guy's warning about an AI image's hidden biases, where, for example, most AI images of some, prestigious positions automatically featuring white males where you don't expect white males to be. Not that that's all they do. That's another dead giveaway. There's also unrealistic elements. Things that don't exist can be in there, like a dog in a spacesuit. Some AI tools leave a watermark in the corner you can look for. You can check the metadata. If you know what that is, you already know how to do it. If not, you can right click on the image, go under properties and start flipping through. For a Mac, I think you have to click and hold on it or something. But also if worst comes to worst, do a reverse image search. Take the image, put it in a reverse image search, see if it pops up elsewhere that gives it away on whether or not it's real or not. So there, a little bit of a tech tutorial here on the James Show to help you spot AI images. All right, that's going to be it for the James Show. Go have a good weekend. Remember, you can come meet up me and some of the other James Show listeners at the Plano Sports Tavern, March 25th, 7 p.m., Parker and Custer. It's the James Show listener meetup. And Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.